starts now.
Tonight, the Action News 5 investigators are revealing a pandemic problem, one that cost many Mid-Southerners their homes. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Joy Redmond. Joe Birch has the night off. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the federal government stopped evictions and foreclosures, allowing millions of Americans to stay in their homes despite falling behind on payments. That was not the case, however, for property owners who fell behind on their taxes. In Shelby County alone, 1,700 owners saw their properties hit the auction block because they were behind on their tax bills. And as Jessica Jaglois reports, in a new partnership with the University of Memphis Institute for Public Service Reporting, those impacted most were some of our most vulnerable neighbors.
60-year-old Denise Thomas and 71-year-old Jack Mitchell purchased their first home together more than 15 years ago on Harris Avenue, a stone's throw away from the historic Orange Mound neighborhood, one of the first subdivisions planned specifically for African Americans, who in part saw home ownership as a platform to build wealth.
What did home ownership mean to you?
Stability. Stability in old age. Being able to have somewhere where I can say, this is mine, where I wouldn't have to stay with any other children or stay with other family members or friends. This is mine.
What was hers now belongs to someone else after health struggles and job losses caused the housekeeper and Vietnam veteran to fall behind on their property taxes.
I just didn't have the money. Point blank period, I did not have the money.
Thomas lost her home in a tax sale in November 2020. It was auctioned off by the Shelby County government and sold to the highest bidder to recoup her unpaid property taxes.
Did you think you'd end up here?
No, I did not. I mean, I'm not the only one. This is all over the nation, I believe.
She's right. Tax sales didn't stop in many places during the pandemic, including Shelby County. Our analysis of court documents and property records shows between August 2020 and February 2021, while federal eviction and foreclosure moratoriums were in place, nearly 1,700 properties were sold in Shelby County tax sales.
I think it's unfair and unfortunate.
Archie Robinson lost his house in a pandemic tax sale. He inherited his childhood home from his mother, who was behind on the property taxes when he moved in.
Where are my monthly funds? Where are they?
As a stroke survivor on disability, he says he paid what he could over the years, but what he was paying wasn't enough. Last year, while Robinson was sick and bedridden, his fiance says a sheriff's deputy came to the door with an eviction notice.
The doorbell rang. I went to the door and she gave me the paperwork saying that we had to leave because the house was sold. It was sold, and Archie wasn't able to come because he was in the bed. He was already sick, and it was very surprising.
Robinson asked family and friends for the nearly $9,000 he needed to redeem his property and buy it back.
I guess I'm one of the fortunate ones, if you want to look at it like that.
I was talking to him, and I was like, how many people actually lost their houses out here on the streets? And it happened during this time. Where are they going to get their help at?
That's the problem with tax sales, says Andrew Carl, a professor of history and African American studies at the University of Virginia. Most homeowners who live in their homes and lose them in tax sales simply can't afford the taxes.
These are generally pretty dire conditions that would lead someone to not pay their property taxes or not be able to.
Carl researches inequality in real estate and says tax sales disproportionately affect elderly, low-income, and African-American homeowners.
The way that local governments conduct tax sales is being done in a discriminatory manner that often targets certain homeowners in certain neighborhoods over others.
We created a map that shows which neighborhoods in Memphis have the largest concentrations of tax sale properties, with the highest numbers located in zip codes 38109 and 38108. These neighborhoods are majority African American, and nearly 40% live below the federal poverty line. Carl believes Shelby County should have paused tax sales in 2020, like some other cities did.
Essentially, it's very difficult.
County Trustee Trustee Newman is responsible for scheduling tax sales and moved one sale from April 2020 to August. saying over the phone that she didn't want to add to people's burdens at the time, and there would be a bad perception of putting people out of their houses while they're supposed to stay in them.
Do you think postponing that tax sale by a couple of months was sufficient?
Postponing a tax sale for a few months doesn't really do anything to address the underlying problems that are causing particular properties to fall into tax delinquency.
Carl wants cities and counties to treat owner-occupied homes differently than vacant properties. We wanted to speak to Trustee Newman about that possibility, but she denied our requests for an on-camera interview. While Trustee Newman said her office didn't currently identify owner-occupied homes, we spoke with Jack Turner, a former attorney from her office, about that possibility.
Does that sound like something the trustee's office would be able to do?
Probably not, just because the trustee does not have a great deal of discretion here. They have an obligation to sell property for which the tax has not been paid. And I think the reason the law is written the way it is you didn't want a situation where a tax assessor was playing favorites and forgiving some debts or going easy on somebody who was a political contributor or a crony or a friend.
But owners like Thomas and Mitchell want to see Shelby County explore any type of solution that can better help people like them keep their homes. With their house sold, they now live in this rental, which gobbles up nearly their entire monthly income.
I'm worried about making sure that I have somewhere to live, a roof over my head. That's what's important, keeping a roof over my head at 61 years old and not having to sleep out there in the park or in a shelter.
For the Institute for Public Service Reporting and Action News 5, I'm Jessica Jaglois.
The investigators and our partners at the University of Memphis Institute for Public Service Reporting spent months compiling tax sale data. You can find our full report online, including maps, graphics, and pictures at actionnews5.com. Our reporting continues tonight at 10 with a look at why potentially thousands of homeowners may have never received notice their homes were going up for sale.